This is the LZR Project, an episodic story series by David and Alderman. The LZR Project takes place within David's Expired Reality universe and serves as a prequel to the main novels in his Expired Reality series. You can find out more about David's Expired Reality series at davidandalderman.com. Episode number 8. Saturday, April 18th, 1998. Carrie Green entered the marketplace, dazzled by the walls and ceiling that were made completely of blue and white crystals. The space for the marketplace had been carved out of a massive cavern, and the crystals bled natural light that filled the market with a soft glow. The dimness allowed the merchants, most of whom sold gemstones and random trinkets from around an era, to use glowing stones of their own to light up their booths in brilliant hues of crimson, tangerine, and emerald. The scent of mildew and still water filled the air, but with the scent, Carrie was able to pick up traces of the various foods available in the market, including the sweet and succulent citrus fragrance of jewel fruit, the smoky scent of jerky, and the cinnamon aroma wafting off the Cory sticks. A dark-skinned man in a long black gown approached. He extended his dry and scratched hands toward her, but did not touch her. Carrie knew that most of the residents of Crystal City were Reachers, refugees from the Season Islands, who traversed across the wastelands to find a new home when the Season Sisters corrupted the kingdom. Most of the Reachers Carrie had come upon had dark, sun-scorched skin and refused to bathe, if only because they hadn't bathed for many years when traveling through the harsh wasteland. Most refused to touch outsiders for fear of spreading filth, and almost all Reachers wore dark gowns to cover their sun-spotted and sore-infested flesh. "Beautiful woman, I have many interesting wares you may take delight in. Wasteland treasures. I give you 15 discount." Carrie drew a few steps away from the man, shaking her head. "No, thank you." He nodded, frowned, and retreated to his glowing red booth. I knew it was a bad idea to come here, she thought. She glanced down at her wardrobe, tattered brown cargo pants and a white t-shirt. She had wanted to wear something a bit more colorful, but Ridley had warned her to do her best to blend in. Even her sachel was made of plain brown leather, and the marketplace had a chill to it, one not easily remedied without a jacket. Carrie traversed the market, passing various booths, eyeing certain glowing gemstones and cut crystals. Many merchants had crafted beautiful pieces of jewelry and ornate baubles that attached to the fabric of one's clothes. She had studied the photograph of the specific stone she was here to retrieve, but so far none of the merchant booths had provided any such item. "A shimmering black stone the size of my fist," she reminded herself. Like David, Veronica, and Sean, Carrie knew nothing of why she was supposed to retrieve the Sindaris Stone. She had been sent to Crystal City simply to find it, purchase it, and bring it back to Lysalis, so the Inera government could take possession of it. David and Veronica had been preoccupied with other missions or tasks, so it was left to her to accomplish this. David had reservations about her entering the field on her own so soon after her head injury from her struggle with Mr. Big. But her wound had scarred over, and she felt more than capable of accomplishing the task. Sean had wanted to come, but Carrie politely refused. She didn't like his company, nor did she trust him. Carrie approached a merchant booth that sold stones like the one she was searching for. Upon closer examination, she realized they were volcanic. She shook her head when asked if she'd like to purchase one, and then she continued through the marketplace. "I wish David were here with me," she told herself. Her heart ached with the thought of being so far from him, especially with him being so preoccupied with Scarlet Rogue and her crazy ongoings. Carrie fully understood why David was helping the poor girl, but Carrie didn't like it. She didn't like a lot of things nowadays, especially her feelings for David. She wanted him as more than a friend, but anytime she tried to tell him, he made mention of how important the LZR Project was, and how his one and only focus was to put Mr. Big behind bars. She couldn't bring herself to tell him of her feelings for him. They felt petty and small compared to his passion to put Mr. Big away. Besides, she reminded herself, I can tell him once the project is over and done with. "Good woman, would you like to have your fortune read this day?" Carrie turned to find a decrepit old woman sitting at a small fold-up table in between a jewel fruit stand and a stand selling emerald earrings. A bright beryl-colored shawl hung over the woman's shoulders, and she wore a bright blue piece of cloth over her hair. The woman's eyes burned cerulean, nearly hypnotizing Carrie with their brilliance. I'm good. I don't believe in that nonsense anyway," Carrie replied. She started past the booth, but the old woman wasn't so easily evaded. "Dear girl, don't you want to know about the one you love?" Carrie stopped mid-stride and turned back to the old hag. You really think you can fool me with generalities? I know scams, and you're scamming. I have other business here, so if you don't mind. Carrie started on her way again. Yes, the Sindaris Stone. Carrie turned around and approached the woman's booth. What do you know of the Sindaris Stone? The woman shrugged. Closer inspection revealed to Carrie the woman's pale and cracked lips and her sallow cheeks. Goodbye, Carrie said. Wait, the woman said, lifting her thin arm out from under the table. She opened her palm and revealed a shimmering black stone. You are looking for this, are you not? That's it, Carrie thought. I am. Take it. It is for you, my dear. Carrie slowly reached out to grab the stone, but before her fingers could touch it, the old woman snapped her hand shut into a fist. First, you must promise me something. A catch, Carrie said. What a surprise. The woman waved her hand in front of Carrie's face, flexing her bony fingers. I have seen your future, dear child, and it is dark and filled with blood and tears. That's not overly general, Carrie snapped. Do me a favor and keep your stone. I can find another one. It is not I who will tell you of this future. There is a place, a wondrous and darkly mysterious place that the locals will never tell you about. A cave of amethyst. I've seen plenty of amethyst in my time, thank you. Not like this. Whatever a person sees in the crystal shards will come in the future. You want to know about David, right? Carrie narrowed her eyes on the woman. Oh, do not look down on an old woman like that. I am here to help, not hinder. I see your beauty move through these stalls, and I can't get out of my mind the trouble that is about to befall you and your love, if you do not take the appropriate action. Go to the Cave of Visions, south of this marketplace, in the hills below the windmills. You really think I trust you? Carrie asked. The old woman grinned. I knew about the Sindaris Stone, didn't I? She opened her hand and offered the stone to Carrie. Take it, a token of my trust. Carrie reached out and took hold of the stone. It felt like a chunk of ice. What is this made of? Secrets, young one. Dark secrets. Carrie opened her satchel and carefully placed the stone inside. Thank you. The old woman grinned. Her teeth were nearly as yellow as her cheeks. No, my dear. Thank you. Carrie left the marketplace and made her way outside. The air beyond the cavern felt muggy and warm, but for a few minutes it was a nice change from the chill of the marketplace. The sun was high in the sky, and the warmth it spilled on her was pleasant and somewhat comforting. She stared toward the south at the windmills and spotted the hills the old woman spoke of. Carrie slid her hand into her satchel and pulled out her cell phone. Do I call David, she wondered, and tell him I have the stone? Or do I go see what this old woman is talking about? She slid the phone into her satchel and started toward the hills. The place the old woman spoke of was hard to miss. After a bit of walking, Carrie approached a wide opening between the hills that spread into a large cavern filled with tall, glittering amethysts. She stepped inside and noticed that the air in this particular cavern had a very mild electrical charge to it, tingling the hairs on her skin and setting the hair on the back of her neck on end. Carrie reached out to touch the amethyst wall that towered in front of her. A soft hum pulsed from it, and she pulled her hand back and took a step away from the mammoth shard. An image of herself appeared in the surface. Her reflection exhibited the same tattered brown cargo pants and white t-shirt she currently wore. Hello, she asked the image, feeling somewhat embarrassed to be talking to her own representation. Carrie watched as David appeared near her reflection. He wore a gray button-down shirt tucked into black slacks. She had always thought him handsome in that shirt. He handed her reflection a rose and started talking, but Carrie couldn't hear what he was saying. Her reflection took the rose and said something to him, and they suddenly kissed each other. Carrie turned away from the crystal shard and glanced around the cavern, not seeing the image in any of the other crystals. When she looked upon the reflection again, she saw David on the ground, covered in blood. Her heart skipped a beat, and she turned away to collect herself. When she turned her attention back on the reflection, her image knelt over David, tears pouring out of her eyes. Moments later, the reflections passed, and the wall of amethyst glittered with violet glints once again. Carrie reached out and touched the crystal wall, tears streaming down her face. It can't be, she thought. It can't. David can't die. If I tell him how I feel, if I let him know I love him, he'll die. Carrie had no reason to believe the old hag had lied to her. She had given Carrie the Sindaris Stone, and she had known way too much about Carrie. Carrie also knew that the Reachers had many fortune-tellers who lived among them, exiles from other lands. She fell to her knees and leaned against the crystal wall, her tears flowing in strong pulses now. Her heart was destined to break, either by keeping her love a secret, or by telling David, only to watch him die. Thank you for listening to the LZR Project. If you are interested in reading more of David's Expired Reality series, please check out the author's webpage at davidnalderman.com.